The red sandal smuggling activity is a product of the market economy. So in the market economy, everything can be marketable. Like that, once upon a time, this sandalwood is also a wood like any other commodity. But after when the business people invented the market for this sandalwood, now it became a precious commodity, and when it is vastly available in Chittoor, Kadapa and Kurnool districts especially, so the smugglers have their eye on these sandalwood trees, and they have started this smuggling activity. Mainly the people from Tamil Nadu, especially when Veerappan was alive, the people of Vellore, Dharmapuri, Salem, like Illak districts of Tamil Nadu, the tribal people who are mainly depending upon the forest and cutting of wood from the forest, they have picked up those tribal people and they have engaged as coolies in cutting of these red sandal trees. So for the tribal people, it is a tree like any other tree in the forest. They didn't find any difference between an ordinary tree and the sandalwood tree. But when the smugglers have offered or allured them to pay a more salary or perks for cutting of a tree, then naturally the poor people and downtrodden people, tribal people who are depending for their livelihood on the cutting of trees alone, has migrated slowly, and they used to come along with these red sandal smugglers into the forest areas of Sheshachalam forest and the other surrounding areas, and they have started to cut the red sandal this thing. So initially these red sandal smuggling have started with the connivance and hand in glove of the local political people and the local people. So since these people are outside of the state of Andhra Pradesh, they don't know the routes and end routes of the forest and everything, and naturally the local forest people and the politicians and the police all have hand in glove in this smuggling activity. That is a known fact to everybody. So without the cooperation of a forest department people, and now especially this special task force police people who are appointed for curbing of the smuggling activity, this smuggling activity cannot be continued. The first thing is that there are several layers in this activity. The first layer, the top smuggler, the boss is entrusted with this job to some of his sub contractors to go and collect this quantum of red sandal smuggler, 1 ton or 2 tons like that, and in turn they have engaged some maestries, and those maestries will pick up these tribal people from their villages, taking advantage of their deplorable livelihood conditions, and they engage them and they bring them to the foothill of the forest, and then they leave them there. And the job entrusted to these cutters is only to went inside the forest and to cut and bring that log. So for each log depends upon its weight, and they used to pay for 300 rupees to 500 rupees per kilo. So but whereas these smugglers ultimately is going to sell those 1 kilo of red sandal for thousands and lakhs of rupees. So the red sandal cutter who is on the grassroots level, who is cutting a tree, who felt that this tree is also like any other tree, is getting a meager amount, and for which they are venturing their lives, though they knows very well that entering into a forest at present in order to cut a sandalwood tree is endanger to their life. In spite of that, Especially I am hereby mentioning that in the light of the recent encounter killing of 20 red sandal smugglers also, this red sandal cutting activity has not been stopped. So still the people, that especially the tribal people from Tamil Nadu, still entering into the forests of AP to cut this red sandal. So now I will come to that point later. So in the arena of these 5 layers of the smuggling activity, and they used to go inside of the forest, and they used to spend 3 days or 4 days or 5 days in the forest, and they cut a tree and they bring the tree outside to the forest, and those logs will be handed over to the person, who the maestri or some other people who are engaged by them. So from there these logs which have been cut and handed over by these red sandal cutters, and they have to be transported. So unless there is a hand in glove with the police department or the forest department or the check post officials, and no one can transport these red sandals logs, because they are in large in number of size and etc. and etc. So now it became a phenomena, and also we know the ground reports from various parts of these areas, that no doubt the police are showing arrest of these red sandal cutters, and showing the seizure of some red sandal logs from their possession, alleging that they were carrying by them, and they have caught hold and arrested and seized these logs. But when 10 logs, for example, 10 logs would be seized, appears to be seized or alleged to be seized from this red sandal cutters, and on the other hand, two times or 3 times of red sandal logs will be transported under the guise of this. This transport smuggling activity is going on. Now the simple logic is that if these people are so strict and used to arrest and seize each and every red sandal log which has been cut and brought out of the forest, so nobody will engage these cutters by spending some amount, whatever it may be, spending some amount and other things. So on one hand, when 20% or 25% of red sandal logs have been showing arrest or seizing arrest for the statistical purposes, but behind the back, the 75% of red sandal logs have been still smuggling or still transporting with the connivance and hand in glove of the so-called forest department and the so-called police department and the so-called politicians. So if they are so sure or very much serious about the prevention of this red sandal smuggling activity, and when they encircled the whole areas of the transport ways and means, and you see, they can carry the red sandal log in the forest department, and they cannot carry the log outside the forest, or to reach from Andhra Pradesh to Tamil Nadu or Karnataka to some other state, and they have to make use of some transport vehicle. So checkposts are there. So one can be easily prevented this activity, but for statistical purpose and for the sake of the government, and they are showing some seizure and some arrest, but the real kingpins behind it is scot free, and they are paying. So the police department and the forest department people are paid by these kingpins. So just to make an eyewash or to shut the mouth of the people who are criticizing the government or this activity, they show some arrests and they show some seizure of the red sandal logs. But whereas in everywhere, if you see, in order to control an illegal act, the ultimate victims are the poor and downtrodden. Even in this case also, this preventive detention has been using against not the real culprits and real kingpins, against these poor red sandal cutters. So simply they have arrested, And before that entering into whatever happened, we will look after, we will be here to look after your welfare and your family welfare, like that they are alluring these tribal people. Once they caught hold and arrested, put behind the bars, and nobody will look after them now. So they are languishing behind the bars. So by at that time, no smuggler, no kingpin or no mestri, no mutha mestri, like nobody will come. Their families have been ruined. So the ultimate victim is the red sandal cutter at the grassroots level. So for further, there are no special courts have been constituted. They are producing before the same regular courts, and already the courts have burdened with a number of cases, and they have their other routine cases of their regular police stations and other things. So this is an additional burden for them. They have no time. So now the forest department used to produce an accused, that is the red sandal cutter, before the court, and they are not even producing these red sandal logs. That simply they are producing some challan that we have seized these logs. The funniest point on the part of this forest department and the police department, so just a few weeks back, a case has been registered by one of the forest department claiming that 22 logs have been transporting in an auto by 5 people. So how could it be possible to transport 22 logs in an auto by 5 people? So it is ridiculous on the face of it. And one more thing, there is a Maruti 800, they will show that my Maruti 800, and they will show the 6 feet log or 7 feet log or 8 feet log. How could it be in a Maruti 800, this 6 feet to 8 feet logs would be able to keep, one can keep. So it is all ridiculous and false cases on the face of it. So something they might have, they need some statistical purpose, they need some red sandal cutters, and they need some logs for which a stock. And to astonish to ourselves, we came to know that whenever they unearth some red sandal logs, so these people they may find some a bundle of red sandal logs in somewhere in forest or some dumps. So they keep the dumps. They won't show that dumps directly to the department or to the before the court, and they keep it those logs. And whenever they arrest some person, they used to put 1 or 2 logs behind him and take a photo, and this fellow is transporting of this. Like that, the majority of the cases are also false cases, not true and genuine cases. Maybe 30 to 35%, 1/3 cases may be true cases, but 2/3 cases are all false cases. So the ultimate victim is the red sandal cutter, and for months together the courts are also prejudiced, and the courts are not liberal in granting of the bails, because these people hail from Tamil Nadu, and once the bail has been granted and they may not turn up, that was one of the apprehension of the courts, and they are insisting these local sureties. A fellow from Juvadi Hills or in Dharmapuri, how can he able to get a surety in Chittoor district? It's not possible. So in some cases, though the bail has been granted, so in order to since they are unable to produce the sureties, they are languishing behind the bars. So no trial has been taking place. These forest officials and the police officials are not interested in getting with the trial of the cases. Simply they are arresting and putting them behind the bars, and subsequently they are least bothered about the persuasion of the further prosecuting of the case, and not even 10% of the cases not came up for the trial for all these 2-3 years. For all these 2-3 years, not even 10% of the cases are not came up for trial. So the people, it is a stage of as an under trial prisoner, or it is stage of getting of a bail and simply adjourning the matters. So this is the thing. But with regard to especially coming to this preventive detention, so this preventive detention is also using against these red sandal cutters, not against the kingpins. So once they have been used, so there is no question of bail for 6 months. So they should be behind the bars for all these 6 months. Finally, the kith and kin of this tribal people and their families have been ruined. And you know that in order to get a bail in a red sandal case, the lawyers are not charging not less than 25,000. So how a tribal person can pay 25,000 for his bail and to release? If that 25,000 would have been available for him, he would not have been venture to come to that forest. So that is the reality. That is the crux of the issue. So when coming to the migration of these people, I too have a serious doubt about, in spite of the encounter. So the government and officially, unofficially, the people who resorted for the brutal killing of these 20 people have admitted that they have resorted this brutal killing as a deterrent act to prevent the migration of the tribal people into the forest areas, red sandal forest areas. But in spite of that, the people have been coming. So why? Haven't they care about their lives? Naturally, any human being should have care about his life. In spite of that, they are coming. Because in combat position, whether do or die, when a situation comes to a person, whether do or die, he will choose to do an act, whether it is legal or illegal. So that situation and that socio-economic conditions are prevailing in those areas of the tribals of this Tamil Nadu part. So to which we have visited some of the areas also. So their conditions, living conditions are highly deplorable. So it is the minimum duty of a concerned government, that is especially the government of Tamil Nadu, to provide an adequate livelihood for these people. That can only be prevented the migration of these tribal people. So that's why we are also demanding and we are also appealing to the people of Tamil Nadu to make pressure on the government of Tamil Nadu to provide adequate livelihood to these tribal people. So that measure would prevent these illegal migration of resorting them to do an illegal thing. Because if instead of dying for